It's Thursday, October 2nd. In the headlines, Constituted Authority rejects Paul Buchanan's request to void St. Andrew West Central election result. Regionally, Trinidad and Tobago and Canada signs MOU to boost cooperation across key sectors. And in sports, Cricket West Indies scales back plans for 2025-2026. This is the news on PBC Jamaica. I'm Simone Absalom Gale. The Constituted Authority has dismissed a request from Paul Buchanan, the defeated People's National Party candidate for St. Andrew West Central, to have the results of the September 3 general election in the constituency nullified. Mr. Buchanan, who lost to Jamaica Labour Party leader and Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness, had petitioned the authority in a letter dated September 16, citing alleged irregularities and incidents of violence on election day. Dr. Holness secured 7,054 votes, while Mr. Buchanan received 4,953. Invoking Section 37E of the Election Petition Act, Mr. Buchanan argued that the alleged incidents could have led to a, quote, substantial distortion or subversion of the process of free and fair election, end quote. His submission included affidavits from himself and other individuals to support the claim. However, after reviewing the documents and relevant legal precedents, the authority concluded that the evidence did not meet the legal threshold required to proceed. Consequently, it declined to escalate the matter to the election court. Foreign Affairs Minister Senator Kamina Johnson-Smith has pushed back against claims that Jamaica has been silent on the war in Gaza. She insists the country has consistently spoken out, recognizing Palestine last year and maintaining its call for peace. At Wednesday's post-cabinet press briefing, Minister Johnson-Smith dismissed suggestions that Jamaica had failed to show solidarity with the Palestinian people.
Repeated in the press what he had said. We recognized Palestine last year. We have not only issued statements nationally at the heads level within CARICOM, at the foreign ministers level within CARICOM, at CARICOM caucus level within the UN, at the ambassadorial level. But we have always, historically, we have always supported Resolution 242, which is the one that calls for a two-state solution.
Her comments came after the opposition People's National Party charged that the government had not spoken forcefully enough on the conflict. But the Foreign Affairs Minister countered that symbolic gestures at the United Nations, such as walking out during speeches, may grab headlines, but do little to advance solutions.
We have called for a ceasefire. We have condemned actions on both sides. And the reality is that we don't practice our diplomacy in a performative way. We don't. We believe we should be at the table, we should engage, we must always be the voice of reason, we must always be a respected voice, and we continue to make every effort so to do.
Johnson-Smith also pointed to CARICOM's collective stance, noting repeated regional calls for peace and security for both Israelis and Palestinians. She stressed that Jamaica's approach is rooted in consistency and credibility.
So I just encourage, those who are interested in these issues to look back at the facts, to look back at the consistency of our positions, and indeed to ensure that we keep our democracy sound by making sure that we put truth at the forefront at all times.
The minister also warned against misinformation, urging Jamaicans to ground public debate in facts as the conflict continues to divide global opinion. In this week's Young Boss feature, we take a look at Abby's Slice of Paradise.
Hey guys, welcome to a behind the scenes look of Abby's Slice of Paradise. Hi, I'm Abby Jo Anderson and I'm the CEO of Abby's Slice of Paradise, where I do everything cheesecake. I started this business honestly out of the love for cheesecake. The first time I tasted cheesecake, I fell in love. I did always like pastry, but then I fell in love with cheesecake and I'm like, okay, I need to taste this in a different way. Okay, I like Oreos, I need to try this with Oreos. I like banana, I need to try this with banana, and I just started from there. So I'm 20 years old. I started baking cheesecake around 2020. I was trying with other cakes, but I just didn't have the love for them. So it was fine, cakes were perfect, but I just didn't have a love for it. Whenever it's time for me to bake a cheesecake, that's when I go all out, that's when I'm excited, that's when I'm pumped, like I'm saying, okay, we got a cheesecake on our hands. When I did start though, it was not the best. I didn't master the whole cheesecake making, but after long practice, family members trying it out, friends trying it out, I realized what I need to do, what I need to stop doing, and then right now I can consider myself a specialist in cheesecake. Well, the response has been good. I haven't had anybody that has a problem with the flavor, with the texture. The responses has been good. Yes. Especially if it is something that you really love, start it. I would encourage anybody to start their business. Sure, at the starting, and this is something I faced, at the starting you're not gonna know everything that you need to do. You're not gonna get everything perfect, but it's the mistakes that you learn from. I value the mistakes that I made because I wouldn't have been where I am right now. First of all, to me, I've never seen cheesecake the way that I'm making them now. The flavors that I have came up with are absolutely amazing. Before I started, the only thing I knew about was strawberry cheesecake, and people didn't even really know it's strawberry cheesecake. It was usually called plain cheesecake. I have changed that totally. So okay, you can call me and say, you know what? I like Twix. You know Twix, right? I like Twix, but I love cheesecake. What can you do for me? And I can tell you, I can make a cheesecake with Twix. That's what's amazing about my business. Definitely I want to go international. There are so many brands. This is how I want people to know Abby's Slice of Paradise anywhere in the world. I also want a major bakery, but not just a bakery to say you go in and you buy a cake. You can dine there. Cakes are displayed beautifully. You can come sit. It's this formal setting, this beautiful place with cheesecake that you've never thought of, just cheesecake.
Time now for the latest financial market details in the Business Report with Denise Williams.
For the trading period October 1, 2025, these were the most actively traded stocks. Toll road operator Trans-Jamaican Highway Limited with 11,322,881 units traded, representing 38.76% of market sales volume. Microfinance firm Access Financial Services Limited shares of 1,696,112 units traded, representing 6.57% of market sales volume. Alternative energy provider Wigton Energy Limited shares of 1,413,946 units traded, representing 5.47% of market sales volume. We now shift our focus to the Forex market rate set by the Bank of Jamaica. On October 1, 2025, the Bank of Jamaica reported US $61.81 million purchased and US $64.58 million sold by Forex traders. Forex traders earned $1.99 per dollar, selling the US at $161.30 and buying the US at $159.72. The Canadian dollar netted forex traders 4 cents per transaction, with selling at $116.03 and buying at $115.99. The British pound yielded forex traders $1.33 in profits, selling at $217.17 and buying at $215.84. For our credit report tip of the day, ambition without action stalls. You can talk about your goals, outline a vision board, and dream about wealth. But until you back it up with a credit report that proves you're ready, the bank isn't listening. Your credit report is not background paperwork. It is the front door to funding. When a lender pulls that report, they're asking, can this person handle responsibility? Do they honor their commitments? Can they be trusted with more? If your report says yes, doors open. If it says no, even the sharpest pitch gets pushed aside. That means you cannot afford to be passive. You must attack your credit like it's part of your business strategy. Pull your report, scrutinize every line, clear errors, crush balances, negotiate late marks, build a history that screams consistency. Every one of these moves is a calculated strike toward credibility. And that wraps up today's business report. I'm Denise Williams, reminding you that every financial decision is a step toward your future. Until next time, stay focused, stay informed, and keep striving for success. See you soon.
In regional news, Trinidad and Tobago has signed a new agreement with Canada aimed at boosting investment and development. Acting Foreign and CARICOM Affairs Minister Dr. Kennedy Sarat Singh and Canadian High Commissioner Michael Callan formalized the deal with the Canadian Commercial Corporation, which both sides say will help drive major projects and strengthen economic ties. Jason John reports.
The government of Trinidad and Tobago has taken another step to provide opportunities for investment, development, and to further strengthen the collaborative relationship between Trinidad and Tobago and Canada. On Tuesday, Acting Minister of Foreign and CARICOM Affairs Dr. Kennedy Sarat Singh met with the Canadian High Commissioner to Trinidad and Tobago, Michael Callan, to sign a new Memorandum of Understanding with the Canadian Commercial Corporation, CCC. According to Dr. Sarat Singh, the CCC has a proven track record of global experience.
So today, this agreement carries the spirit forward, both with a broader scope and with a deepening sense of purpose. The government's approach to greater fiscal management through the use of government-to-government arrangements can help secure the completion of unfinished capital projects and the transformation of this country's path to a greater economic progress and development.
High Commissioner Michael Callan said the bonds between both nations remain strong, with deep cooperation in areas such as security, commerce, and culture. He also noted that the Trinbagonian community in Canada remains one of the largest and most active in the world.
And for today's purposes, signing this MOU with the Canadian Commercial Corporation, what it does is it really unlocks the faith and the ambitions between both of our governments. And it's a vehicle for providing additional assurances and allowing us to move ahead with expediency and with the ambition that I know we both share.
Minister Sarat Singh reiterated the government's commitment to diversifying Trinidad and Tobago's economy in a way that promotes greater social responsibility and long-term sustainability.
In fact, one of the things that we would have spoken about in our manifesto is the development of a cannabis business. And Canada has made significant strides in development of medical marijuana that we can also engage in. So by engaging with Canada as a trusted partner through the Canadian Commercial Corporation, Trinidad and Tobago is better positioned to secure transformative projects that will shape the next chapter of our development story.
The foundation for today's expanded collaboration was laid back in 2013 with an agreement focused on strengthening cooperation in defense and security. Jason John, TTT News.
St. Lucia and France have signed a new agreement to strengthen regional security and cooperation. The accord targets drug trafficking by air and sea, while also tackling challenges in the extradition process. Prime Minister and National Security Minister Philippe J. Pierre says both sides are working to find common ground for faster legal resolutions. The agreement also reaffirmed collaboration in health, with St. Lucia clearing long-standing debts to French hospitals in Martinique.
A crucial agreement was inked between the government of the French Republic and the government of St. Lucia on October 1st, 2025, to mark continued collaboration on numerous fronts. The accord focused on combating the illicit trafficking of narcotics, drugs, and psychotropic substances by air and sea, signals a strengthened commitment to regional security and the fight against transnational crime. A key feature of the engagement was the focus on challenges hindering extradition processes, an issue that, according to Prime Minister and National Security Minister Philippe J. Pierre, is now in the hands of capable minds working toward resolution.
What are the barriers that cause extradition to be difficult? And I think they worked out what these barriers are, the Attorney General and the legal people. Because, there are different systems between Martinique and St. Lucia. So we have to find what is a common thread, what can cause these extraditions to happen in a legal way at the earliest and fastest opportunity.
During the 9th Franco-St. Lucia Joint Security Commission, officials also explored broader areas of cooperation, chief among them the Health Immigration Convention, which facilitates access to medical care in Martinique for St. Lucians.
Many St. Lucians, both in the private and public capacity, both in the private sector and from the public. When I say private, I mean people who have their own individual problems, they go to Martinique. But the public sector are people that are government sponsors. The government pays the cost for them to go over. And there was a debt of over $3 million owed to the French authorities, the French hospitals, for quite some time, to the year 2001, something like that nature. And we decided that that was not fair. We could not be using the facilities of the Martinican people or the Martinican government, which basically are the facilities of the Martinican people, and not pay them. So the government decided to pay them. So we cleared that debt, and we have a zero balance. And what we're doing now is that we're trying our best to clear it as soon as it becomes.
Caribbean parents are being urged to take a more active role in shaping the region's education system. This comes from Daniel Best, president of the Caribbean Development Bank. He was speaking at the second opening ceremony of the 2025 Regional Symposium and Policy Dialogue on Transforming Education, held in collaboration with the Ministry of Educational Transformation. Deanza Roberts has details.
The Symposium and Policy Dialogue is being held at the Wyndham Grand Resort, Barbados, under the theme, Stronger Together, Empowering Parents as Partners in Caribbean Education. The event aims to strengthen the involvement of critical groups in the regional education system and to establish a sustainable regional parent-teacher framework. CDB's President Daniel Best says parents must be recognized as key partners in reform.
Every child's success story is a testament to the unseen labor of a mother or guardian, the faith of a father, and the resilience of grandparents who held on to the promise of education against all odds. Policymakers can craft a vision and strategy, but it is parents who bring these principles to life, making them an indispensable part of the education system. One cannot succeed without the other.
He believes that with stronger collaboration among governments, teachers, parents, and communities, the Caribbean can transform education into a launchpad for innovation and prosperity.
In our region, it has always taken a village to succeed. And it will take the whole Caribbean village, including parents, teachers, communities, policymakers, and the diaspora to raise this generation into prosperity. That is why parents must have a seat at the table of transformation.
His view is for the region to rethink how it involves parents in decisions that can impact children.
At this critical juncture, we have a unique opportunity to strengthen the entire education ecosystem by vigorously advancing the participation of parents. Over the next few days, I invite us to rethink how we engage, how we empower parents as partners with formal roles, clear access points, and enshrined rights in shaping the future of education.
Close to 200 participants are in attendance, including parents, educators, administrators, development partners, and ministers of education. Deanza Roberts, CBC News.
Further afield, on September 30, China celebrated a milestone, the 76th anniversary of its founding. With a message that resonates beyond borders, a call for global unity, shared progress, and renewed friendships. As China charts its future, nations around the world, including Jamaica and the Caribbean, are watching closely, eager to see how these ambitions can translate into real opportunities for mutual growth. Marlon Samuels was at the event and he filed this report.
China marked the 76th anniversary of its founding on September 30, with a speech emphasizing progress, resilience, and a commitment to multilateralism.
As changes in the world not seen in a century accelerate, we should vigorously champion the common values of humanity and practice true multilateralism.
The president highlighted China's efforts in reform, development, and its dedication to global cooperation, especially under the theme of building a shared future for humanity.
We should continue to implement the Global Development Initiative, the Global Security Initiative, the Global Civilization Initiative, and the Global Governance Initiative, and, together with all other countries, strive to build a community with a shared future for humanity.
This message reinforces China's focus on national rejuvenation and strengthening diplomatic ties, including Caribbean nations like Jamaica, fostering mutual growth and friendship. I am Marlon Samuels in Beijing, China, reporting for the news on PBCJ.
In sports, we look to cricket. Cricket West Indies Chief Executive Officer Chris Derring announced a grim outlook for the organization due to financial challenges in the 2025-2026 cycle. He says the CWI will be halting certain tournaments and plans simply due to the fact that it cannot afford to fund cricket in the region for the upcoming year.
So we are going to struggle financially next year, but it is something we're committed to do. There's certain elements that we have absolutely kept sacrosanct, our players' fees, our retainer program. Those are things that we've said we cannot touch. We have to find the money to make sure our players are compensated, our players have an adequate retainer, and so on. We're keeping most of our tournaments. We've had to do away with a couple which we had planned, such as the Under-17 tournament we had planned, but we simply can't do it next year.
Director of Cricket Miles Bascom detailed a slate of operational changes. To help steady finances, CWI will resize domestic competitions, while stressing those players can return to franchises to compete for selection.
So we will see a reduction in many cases in the number of matches across tournaments. Unfortunately, we are also likely to see the CCC and the academy being withdrawn from our West Indies Championship and Super 50 tournaments. And of course, that does not mean that those players do not have the opportunity to participate in those tournaments, because they will have the opportunity to return to their franchises and vie for a spot in those teams.
Bascom said the plan flows from an August strategy meeting with legends like Brian Lara and Sir Clive Lloyd that produced key recommendations. After review, the board approved several actions on September 25th. CWI will target the skills gap, particularly in batting. Bascom's noted with new specialist hires and a reinforced sports science department.
There was a lot of talk about the skill deficit that exists between our players and what is required at the international level, particularly in batting, but definitely across the board generally. The board approved the recruitment of a batting coach/consultant, ideally on a full-time basis, but also possibly based on availability, short, extended stints at our high performance center here at Coolidge.
Bascom said several recommendations require more work. Among the priorities is a regional development blueprint. He also flagged another look at the current regional franchise model.
This would probably be the third iteration of a review of the franchise system. And it is very crucial to our performance as Cricket West Indies. High performance is probably that layer in our cricket system that is most underserved. So we have been able to bring many of our players to a certain point, but not been able to get them to perform consistently at the international level.
Venue and travel choices for international series will narrow to cut costs. There are likely to be changes in the terms of the number of matches and the number of venues that CWI uses generally and the number of matches per venue. Bascoms is also holding the faith that current regional government concessions will be continued.
Preliminary countries that have been identified for matches have been those countries who have traditionally offered us that support. And we will be writing to them in short order to ensure that we can continue to enjoy that support, because our budget assumptions assume that support. If we are unable to get that support, we may be forced to consider alternative venues.
Despite leaner calendars, he insisted the focus is to ensure that players will be better prepared to make use of the matches that they do have. Bascom concluded that while the cutbacks are forced, CWI aims to compound the benefits of a revamped high-performance and cricket operations structure.
And that's it for the news on PBCJ. Pleasant viewing.